Hello and welcome to another Show Me type video or Explain Everything app experience with Mr. Oliver. We're looking at money and we're going to be dealing with change. Living in Jersey can be quite an experience. I think we're one of the few places now that still have £1 notes, which your children have to get used to, unlike those students in the UK. Right, let's start with these things called money. They're a measure. Children are expected to be able to use them and to recognise them from year one. So the 1p coin obviously is worth 1p. The 2p coin is worth 2p, which is the equivalent to two 1p pieces. The 5p coin is worth 5 1p coins. And children need to actually physically experience this and do lots of swapping so that they're recognising that the value of the coin gives them a clue as to how much it's worth in pennies. As you can guess, the 10p coin is worth 10 1p. All of those coins are very instantly recognisable to children. The bronze 1p and 2p are very recognisable. The smaller 5p is recognisable, as is the 10p. Where they get a little bit muddled is the 20p and the 50p, which have 7 sides, are both silver, and not always is the amount clearly marked on the coins like I've used here. They need to recognise that that 20p piece is worth 20 1p, the 50p piece is 50 1p. So again, the name of the coin gives them a clue as to how many 1p it's worth in value. The £1 coin, they just have to learn that £1 is the equivalent to 100p, and £2 is equivalent to 200p. Obviously they have to recognise the 1p symbol, so P for pence. They also have to recognise the other symbol, which is for a pound, and they need to be able to draw it something like that. So you've got your £1 coin and your £2 coin. They also need to recognise that that 10p piece is worth, obviously, 10 1p. So you can make 10p by getting together 10 1p pieces, like this. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 1 pieces, and it's really good for children to learn to represent money pictorially after they've got really used to doing it in a concrete fashion first. My preferred way of learning is to teach them to do it real with the concrete materials, then to move on to pictures before we start doing anything in an abstract way. So is there another way to make 10p? Yes, there is. We can make 10p with 2p. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's another way for them to make 10p. There is another way to make 10p too, and that is recognising that you can use a 5p and another 5p. So that's again just 3 different ways of making 10p just using the same coin. Obviously they should be able to combine different coins. So for example, they should be able to use a 5p and 2 2p coins and a 1p coin, also to make 10p, and there are lots of different ways for them to be able to do that, and that's something they need to be familiar with and recognise there are lots of different ways to make 10p. In the same way, you would say about 20p, you could do it in 1p, which takes a long time to draw, so I'm not going to show that here, but obviously the quickest way to make 20p with other coins is to use 2 10p coins, or they can use 4 5p coins. This is where counting in tens, counting in fives and counting in twos all the way from year one is really important, and children need to be used to that, and it leads into their times tables. You can use these coins to help them with their times tables too. And again, you can make 20p with 2p coins. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and it's a good exercise for them to try and find as many different ways of making 20p as they can, and then starting to order them logically and trying to find the logic of how they would do it. The obvious way to start with the biggest coin you can and do it in the most efficient way, and then work it down using each coin on its own before you start to combine those amounts and looking for different ways of making that amount with different coins muddled up and mixed together. Okay, again, £1. I think the most important part of this for children is to learn that £1 is 100 pence. So they need to recognise what that looks like and see how much a pound would be in pennies. You can copy and paste 1 pence images from Google in rows of 10 and print them out, and that will give you a nice visual of what a pound really looks like. That can help them then recognise all the different ways that you can make a pound. For example, you can make a pound with 2 50 pences. You can make a pound with 5 20 pences, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 to fit it in there. Okay, and again, you would hope that by now, as they've been counting in 2s, 5s and 10s, they'd be able to see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pence, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 pence or a pound. And that's so important, especially when you're doing change from a pound. Say they spent 24 pence, you'd want them to count up to 30 pence, and instead of carrying on in ones, you'd want to then start counting in 10 pences when you're doing your change, or using other coins when they're much more confident. If your child is in any way unsure, the best way to stick to is 1 pences and 10 pences, which will help them with their place value too. Okay, so how do they apply this? How do they learn to use this? Well, if I buy an apple for 35 pence, let's draw a nice red apple. Okay, that apple is going to cost me 35 pence. So now I want to know how much change I'm going to get from 50 pence. Well, I'll go 35 pence. I could go 36, 37, 38, 39, 40 pence. So that gets me up to 40 pence. And that means I just need 10 pence more to get me to 50 pence. So I can see that my change is how much I had to count on from 35. So my change is 10 pence plus the 5 pence, which is 15 pence. And they need to learn that change is an equivalence we're sharing. So what they're saying is that if you give the shopkeeper 50 pence, he's got to give you 50 pence back, which is the 35 pence for the apple and the 15 pence for the change. That's the only way the exchange is fair, and the change makes that. And also the change is the difference between the cost of the apple and the value of the coin. And there are lots of worksheets and things online. You can Google money word problems or money change and come up with lots of examples. This is one that I found that was quite useful. It firstly asks the children to look at the coins. So 2 pence and 2 pence, they should be able to count in twos. 2, 4, so that's 4p. Then it's mixing the coins up. This is much more interesting because now they've got to go 5 and 2 makes 7, and 2 more makes 9. You might want to pause it here and have a go at doing these yourself, and then check against my answers. Okay, ready? I'll carry on. So 2, 4, 6 and 1 more makes 7 pence. 10 pence and 2 1 pences is 10, 11, 12 pence. 10 pence and a 5 pence, that makes 10 and 5 is 15 pence. And the last one here, 10 and 5 is 15 and 2, 1. So 15 and 1 more is 16 and 1 more is 17 pence. Good. Now, we've managed to do that. So again, it's counting up from those amounts. So let's go back to 4 pence is how much I've got or spent. How do I work out the change? Well, I go 4 pence and then 1 more makes 5 and 5 more makes 10 and 10 more makes 20. So you can see the coins I've used there to count up from 4 pence, and my change, if I write it on the other side, is 16 pence. Again, if I spend 9 pence, then I go 1 more pence to get to 10. 10 more gets me to 20 pence, which means my change is 11 pence. And again, if you want to pause the tape here, work through the problems on your own, and then check your answers. That might be a good way to go. Okay, carrying on. So 7 pence and 1 more is 8, and 2 more is 10, and 10 more is 20. So So my change is 13 pence, and I'm trying to be as efficient as I can, using as few coins as possible to help me. 12 pence, so that's 14 pence, 15 pence, 20 pence. So my change was 8 pence when I spent 12 pence. From 15 pence, the change counting up is just 5 more, so that's 5p change. And when I've got 17 pence, I can do 1 more and then 2 more. So that's 17 pence, 18 pence, and then 20 pence. And my change for the last one was 3 pence. And that's how I would teach. Counting the coins, firstly, is the first step on the left-hand side of the table. And then doing the change on the right is counting on up to the value of the coin. Again, you can do this with larger numbers. Here's change from £1. So again, children are learning to recognise 3 lots of 20 pence. So it's 20, 40, 60 pence. All the coins are the same. That makes it easier to count up. Whereas 50 and 20, so it's 5 tens and 2 tens is 7 tens. That's 70 pence. And 5 more is 75 pence. It's really important they recognise that 50 pence is 5 10 pences, 20 pence is 2 10 pences. So for the third one, we've got 5 10 pences and 2 more and 2 more. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 10 pences worth, which is 90 pence. Then we've got 2 20s and 2 2s, so that's 40 pence, and 2 more is 42, and another 2 is 44 pence. It's really helpful if they see it as 40 pence and 4 pence, and then they can add up the amounts together. The next one's easy, it's just counting in tens, 10, 20, 30 pence. And the next one is 50, and 5 is 55 pence, 56 pence, 57 pence. It helps if you group the multiples of 10 and the rest together. The next question is 20 pence, and 2, 2 and a 1 is 5, so that's 55 pence. So now all I've got to do is count up to £1. So the easiest way to do this is to hit the next 10 and then count in tens. So you can do 60 pence, so you can do 10, 10, 10, 10. So that's 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That's your pound. So the change there would be 40 pence. For the next one, I'm going to have to add on 5 pence to get to 80 pence, and 90, and 100. So my change is 25 pence. Always we're teaching them to count up. So 90 pence and 10 more is 100. So that's my pound. So my change is just 10p. 44 means I want to go to 1 more to 45, 5 more to 50, and then I can just use a 50 pence piece instead of 5 tens to be more efficient, to be quicker with my money. So I've got change of 56 pence. 70 pence, so I could use a 20 pence, which would get me to 50 pence, and then a 50 pence to get me to 100 pence, which means I've got a change of 70p. 57p, add 1 more is 58, add 2 more is 60, then I can add on 2 20s from 60, which gives me a change of 43 pence. Notice with 57 pence and the change of 43 pence, I've got 5 tens and 4 tens is 9 tens, 7 ones and 3 ones is 10, and 9 tens and 1 more 10 makes 100. Really important, children often get muddled and will end up with 110 pence. It's often something they need to teach and you need to check with them. So 55 pence and 5 more is 60, and I've got used to doing 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, so the change there is 45p. And hopefully that gives you a few little clues as to how you might be able to help your child counting in money, recognising money, and then being able to work out some change. Okay, good luck and thank you very much.